Hello, and how are you doing today? I'm so pleased you're joining me. I have with me some really weird things to show you today, but not so weird because they're nice and easy to make and they don't cost a lot. So if you're needing to do a bulk gift making session for Mother's Day or Father's Day, or you're just wanting to make some stocking fillers, this is great. I have here these wooden tongue depressors. The sort of things that the doctors use in their surgery. And some of them I've kept natural, and others I've just given a light coat of white paint, almost a dry brush effect with that. And I'm going to be using these to make some bookmarks. So you could make bookmarks that you could print onto a tissue paper and then stick that on with either a verse or a quote or some words, or you could just simply take some napkins and make a plain bookmark and then later on stick a verse on top of that. But for now, what I'd like to show you is the difference between having a painted background, which is this one here, and a non-painted background. So you'll see that the painted background, because the serviette is so transparent, it gives you a much more vibrant color than the one that is not painted. This one I've simply just left it as is, and then I've just taken a little bit of a brown stamp pad ink and inked up around the edges, so it is a slightly sort of weathered kind of look, and I'm happy with that because it's an ocean kind of theme. But this one, because it's just waves, I felt would be much nicer if it was just actually a little bit more vibrant, so that's what I've done there. And I'm going to show you now how to do it. So first of all, if you're wanting to paint these sticks, acrylic paint would be the best. So you just use a little bit of acrylic paint, and I used a nice big fat brush just to do a dry brush and leave that to dry on its own. Then I'm going to be working now on one of these white tongue depressors, and I have a lid that's got a slightly raised little lip here. And for me that's important because now I can rest my sucker stick on there rather than becoming immensely sticky, which I can do quite easily, let me tell you. So I have some Mod Podge here, and I'm sure that most of you will find that you're able to get that. I'm now going to paint a layer of this onto my tongue depressor, my wooden stick. Some of you might just know these as craft sticks and not know where they originally were from, but I normally just buy these at the pharmacy, and I get a big box of about a couple of hundred at a time for, in our money, 20 Rand, which is not really a lot. Okay, so I have now just coated that with some podge, and I've got a serviette here, and I'm only using the top layer of the serviette. I've peeled away the backing layers so that that is nice and transparent, and I'm going to lay that over the surface. And while the serviette is still dry, I'm going to just smooth it down lightly with my fingers. Then, this is very, very important, that you put more Mod Podge on your brush and you paint over it. First of all, you want to seal this down nicely and get it to stick, but also because serviettes sometimes actually have these little dimpled textures on them. Can you see that? You actually need to do this so that it smooths those out as well. And at the same time, it is actually just sealing it nicely so that it actually is a very good finish. So I'm now going to rest this on my lid and just use these outside edges of this napkin to stop it from moving around while I'm working. I tend to get a bit sticky, and I could quite easily lift the napkin up from this. So I'm going to work all the way to the edges, like so. And you'll find that you need to make sure that it is right over the edge of the wood to be able to do the next part of this process. Okay, so now I'm going to just set my brush aside, and very, very gently I'm going to just take this napkin, which is now wet, and start to just pull it down away from the edge of the wood. Just do a small section at a time and very, very slowly, and you'll find that you'll get a good result. If you try and do it too quickly, you often lift up some of the napkin. Don't worry about these little fluffy edges that are on the side at the moment, these ones here, because you can always sand that off once it's dry. So here I go, I'm getting sticky already, I told you. And I'm just going to just gently tear away what I can from the sides. There we go. And that comes away very easily because the paper has softened. So let me get rid of that sticky ball. Sorry, I'm just going to pop this one aside. Right, and now what you're needing to do is just to gently take your brush, which still has some Mod Podge on it, and just to make sure that you've covered completely to the edges of your craft stick. I don't want to wrap this around completely to the reverse side, but I don't mind if it comes down a little bit on this narrow edge. So where it is a narrow edge and it's not going through to the back, you can use your brush parallel to the actual craft stick or the tongue depressor, depending on what you call it, and just let it be. So the edges that are a bit longer that would overlap, I'm not actually securing down. Just using my brush, going on the sides to do that. That gets it nice and secure all the way around the edges. I'm going to set that aside. And then once it's completely dry, I'm just going to take a piece of fine sandpaper. This is water sandpaper. And I'm just going to simply brush along the edges to remove any excess of the serviette or the napkin that I don't want. So if I wanted these edges to be completely clean, this would do the trick. You could also use an emery board or a nail file if you have one of those. I know quite a lot of crafters use those as part of their toolkit. So I'm just going to gently sand this away. And then my last suggestion for you would be is that when you've done a whole batch of these, that you either put a varnish over it, like a water-based varnish, or you put something like a spray varnish or even hairspray over it, simply because Mod Podge is a little bit sticky to the touch. And if you're going to use this as a bookmark, you don't want it to stick to your pages. So the varnish will seal that nicely. And I hope that you will make good use of this and have fun making them. You could, as I said in the very beginning, you could put a little piece of paper on here with a little message, which you could print on your computer if you're not feeling confident in writing. And they would make a lovely little gift for an occasion. Right. If you've liked the video, please just give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and that will make sure that you get all the latest videos as they get released. Apologies about the sunlight, but I'm not in my normal place to be able to film this, and the sun's just popped out. We're having a really cloudy, cold winter's day, although it's not strictly winter. So that's why it's not in my normal place. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Bye.